Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through the tips for round 9 that sent me flying back up the ladder into contention, as well as going through my round 10 AFLW tips, and hopefully I can bring it home into a top, I think, 5 position of the prizes, but hopefully something up there. But anyway, before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see here, obviously we had these tips are upcoming. In the last round we had these tips here, and if we go through them quickly, you can see Gold Coast won by 31 in the end. I had them tipped by 28, so I was 3 points off there, which is a huge effort, to be honest. To get them 3 points off in the margin game really helped me, as I have only, I think, 2 ahead of me in the margins. 2 out of the 19 ahead of me are ahead of me in the margin as well, so I do have that on my side, that if I do jump ahead, if I do get the right tips and get a 9 out of 9 or an 8 out of 9 here, I am on to jump up the table. As you can see with that tip, that was a huge tip, and just getting the margin right in the next week is huge and will really determine how I finish. Melbourne against Freo, 61-28, 33-point game. I had them by 50, so that was a 17 off in that game, which is really a decent margin for that game. That's unpredictable, and it's sort of like when that game was going to be played, I probably would go with a safe margin of 40, just so that in case it gets blown out, you only really have a 40 or so point margin against you. But in case that you get a game like this, you get it's on average going to be around about 40 points that they win by. So in this game, I would have only had about a 10 differential, 7 differential if I went 40, but I went 50 because that's what I actually thought this game would be margin wise. Given that it's a in the tipping comp, it's actually a non-margin game, which is good. St Kilda shocked everyone with the game against Brisbane, which I think someone got it right in the top 20, but I don't think many did. And yeah, that would have, if that game had won, I probably would have been, I think I would have been like 3rd or 4th for the actual week or something like that. As someone got 9 out of 9, and they wouldn't have got that right, obviously, if Brisbane had won. But fair play to St Kilda, keeping their finals hopes alive and making this last game against Carlton, this margin game, huge for overall tipping, I guess. Getting that right is going to be crucial. Essendon against Carlton, 56-24. Essendon just too good against Carlton, and will be interesting to see who I tip, given these results, this result spread, who I tip in that margin game again, which will be huge. West Coast against Western Bulldogs, and obviously just going quickly across that, I had Brisbane by 39 in that game, so I was 60 points off in that margin wise. And then I had Essendon by 13, and as you can see, they won by 32, so I was 19 points off there. Going into this next game, I had Western Bulldogs by 19. They won by 8, so that's an 11-point differential, which again puts me at, I think, 110 differential for the round off, which isn't actually that bad at this point, but this game sort of blew it out a little bit. Had Geelong by 9 because I didn't really rate their form, and I thought Richmond would be better given their wins this season, their scalps, but Richmond seemed to have fallen away a little bit. But in the end, Geelong won by 38 points, which is a 29-point gap, and that brought me to a cumulative margin of 139 going into the Sunday games, I believe. Or was this a Sunday game as well? But I believe they have 3 on Sunday usually. Sydney versus Collingwood, a huge win, and this got me back into contention. Going bold was huge, and someone I think put it maybe in the comments of the last tipping video, but this tip set this whole situation up. Sydney beating Collingwood by 19 points. And I had Sydney by 9, so I was 10 off with that, but I was just super stoked to get this game right, as that was a huge call. Got me up to 149 cumulative margin, but again, huge call, huge win. Adelaide I tipped in this game, which again, I think brought me up, 8 or so, 5 ranks, something like that. So yeah, getting that tip right was huge. This one again, even though I believe it was 84-16 in favour of Crows, Still that 16% from Kangaroos accounted for, I think, 2 or 3 people dropping below me, maybe. I think I had the possibility of jumping 5 places with this game, and 2 places, I jumped 2 places or something. So it wasn't 8 that I just said, but I'm pretty sure I jumped from 22 to 20 or something like that, or I jumped 27 to 20 something or other like that. And then the last game, I don't think I jumped at all, or maybe I jumped 1 place from Hawthorn defeating Port Adelaide by 8 points. And in those last 2 games, as I said, Adelaide, I had them by 11, they won by 3, so I was 8 points off there. And Hawthorn, I had them by 14, they won by 6, which brought my cumulative margin to 163, a lot better than last week's 255. Pretty good in comparison to the weeks before. Round 7, I had a 139 cumulative margin. Round 6, a 155. So, and then round 5, a 152. Round 4, a 139, as we started to actually count them on my iPad. And it made it a lot easier. But yeah, just sort of showing that that's the sort of range that you want to hit. If you're having a decent week, you can hit that one. I think 150, 160 range is sort of a decent week margin-wise, and getting obviously 8 tips was huge. And before we tip round 9, you'll see this jump here. Top 20, so obviously when I'm doing the thumbnail will probably have something like that on it. But if we actually go to round 9, you'll see how good of a round this was. I was 5th rank in the whole competition with an 8 tips and a margin of 3. And yeah, if Brisbane got up, it would have been a 9 tipper for me, and it would have been top 4, as this Daniela wouldn't have gotten her tip right of tipping St Kilda. But yeah, just really happy about that tip overall. And as you can see, just really helped with the margin, to be honest. As you see, if I go back to all rounds, and you'll see what I mean about the 2 people above me. We've got here, sorry, that's not correct. You've got here Adam in 4th on 96 margin, which could be huge for him. Being 1 tip ahead of me though, which I can make up. I'm in belief that I can make that up. And then you've also got someone ahead of me on 61 with 100 margin, Ian, a fellow Swan supporter, which honestly, that could be huge, that 10-point margin. If he gets that margin game correct, or close, that will be really tough to overcome. But obviously, being on the same tip, same tips right, I can easily just get 1 more than him, or if I need to. But anyway, now we go to round 10, and here comes the tips. If we go into this round, is Gold Coast going to be able to beat Essendon at Gold Coast with Essendon? With Gold Coast not having row bottom, Essendon knowing that they're in finals unless some massive result happens. They need, what would they need to overturn that? Just looking here, they would need Collingwood or St Kilda to win by, I would say, probably 30 or 40 points, which is possible. But I don't think they will do that. So I think Essendon knows that they're in finals, and Gold Coast are playing for finals. I just think with row bottom out, I don't see a way in which Gold Coast win this, but I wouldn't be surprised if I don't really see a way in which Gold Coast will win this, but there is obviously a chance that they will win this, but I think Essendon will win that game tomorrow night, and I'm going to pick Essendon by, I think, 12 points. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll get over the line. Kangaroos will beat Western Bulldogs in my belief, and I think that's just a safe pick. And if you go, that's just you can't go against North in that game, because you're just potentially giving up to the crowd. Like you're giving up to everyone basically if they don't get over the line, but they should against Western Bulldogs. Western Bulldogs haven't been good enough, and I think North is going to win by 35 points there. Then you have Port GWS, and Port has shown a little bit of fight in the last little bit, and GWS has done a little bit, but I actually am thinking that Port get over the line here. And I know that sounds crazy. GWS don't have Parker. Port, it's the Aaron Phillips last game, so I think they'll be up and about for that. It's at home, so I think this is going to be one of the deal breakers for me. And yeah, I'm pretty happy in going Port here, and I think they're going to win in a close one by 11 points, and this could easily be the game. I'm actually going to underline it when I'm on the iPad here. This could be the game that makes or breaks the round, basically. Geelong, I think, will win that game. Adelaide and Melbourne there. So those are three pretty relatively standard, I think, tips. Geelong will beat Hawthorn by, I think, 18 points. I know Hawks have been pretty decent the last couple of weeks, but I still think they'll win. Adelaide will beat the West Coast Eagles. I think that's a pretty easy tip to make. I think Adelaide will win that game pretty convincingly by 51 points. And then you've got Melbourne against Brisbane. I think Melbourne will win this game. I think it'll be a lot closer because Brisbane are fighting for a top four. If they don't win this, they won't get top four, because I initially actually had tipped Essendon, if you look here, to win, and Essendon are on the same points as Brisbane, so I actually have Essendon sneaking into the 4, which is quite a ridiculous result for Essendon, given that they're, a second-year side. But I think Melbourne will win that game, and I think they'll win it by 23 points. Then we have the margin game of the round, and this one's a tough one to tip, man. This is a tough one to tip, almost to the point that I don't actually want to tip it, but these 3 games are so tough to tip, and if you tip it right, you're going to, if you tip these 3 games right, I have a high likelihood that this will decide who wins overall these 3 games, who wins the tipping comp, to be honest with you, whoever tips these 3 games, and I could just go with the overall winner, just go with the crowd on this one, but I do think this game, St Kilda Carlton, is going to be tough. I do think St Kilda will. What has their recent results been, St Kilda? If we look at round 9, so we're looking at St Kilda and Carlton. St Kilda beat Brisbane, Carlton lost to Essendon. Okay. Round 8, St Kilda lost to Freo, and Carlton lost to GWS. That's not good form, Carlton. And then St Kilda beat GWS the round before that, and Carlton lost to Collingwood, and the round before that, Carlton beat Western Bulldogs, and St Kilda beat Hawthorn. And just going back one further round, Carlton beat the Swans, which was a shock result at the time. I think the Swans have definitely gotten better since then. And St Kilda, where were they? They beat the Western Bulldogs. So I think all signs point towards St Kilda winning, and I think that's what's going to happen. So I'm going to pick St Kilda winning, and that's probably going to be the tip that breaks the camel's back, I guess you would say. And I'm going to tip St Kilda by... I'm going to tip St Kilda by, I think 15. I think 15 is just the margin that's popping in my head. And I know it's probably going to be wrong, and that's what's going to cost me any shot. But anyway, Collingwood against Richmond. Man, just looking here, both of them are an outside... Well, Collingwood, if they win, they need the Swans to lose pretty much to make finals. But if Collingwood win, which I have them probably going to win, that would mean that they make... that would force Sydney to win their final game of the year to make finals. Collingwood, are they going to beat Richmond? Bree Davies been off. I don't have an injury report at the moment. Richmond, pretty poor form. I do think Collingwood probably wins this, even though they're out of form, because I think they have the hunger to try and make finals, or at least force Sydney to win the final game of the round. So I'm going to pick Collingwood to win by, I think, 14 points. And then I think the Swans do. My bias gets in the way here. My bias sort of nudges me towards Sydney winning to lock up a final spot, as they would just need a win here to make finals, I believe. As I've predicted both St Kilda and Collingwood to win, they would need a win to make finals, and Geelong has won as well on 5-4, so they would make finals as well. They would be guaranteed finals, because Gold Coast would fall out of the 8, and Swans, I believe, would be they could finish 7th, I believe, and play Geelong or something, that would be potentially what happens, but they'd have another spot to potentially burn as well. So I'm predicting Sydney to win this game by, I think 19 points, even though there's Bowers there's Strom and the ruck, so it will be tough, but I do think that they can beat Fremantle. And that's pretty much the tips for the last round of the season. That's obviously saved, which is good. And yeah, hopefully I can make up that ground, but let's just wait and see, I guess. 2 tips, and I've got the margin on the top tipper, who is on the top 2 tippers, who are the top 3 actually are a margin away from us. I mean, not a margin, a tip away, but the rest of the crowd, the 14 to 18 range, are all on 62 tips. And if I get another tip here, I could easily be, I guess, there or thereabouts. But hopefully we get the top round, because that would be huge. But anyway, yeah, it all comes down to the Port, this St Kilda game, and St Kilda, Collingwood, Sydney, and the Port games are sort of the games that I'm looking at and just hoping we'll get right, as they're going to be huge for tips. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the round 10 AFLW fantasy team preview. Anyway, I'll see you guys in that video. Bye, guys.